How do my customers pay me? That's a great question. We're going to talk about it today. Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, today's show is brought to us by House Call Pro, which is a software that helps you with the bill collections. So I want you to check it out at housecallpro.com/Angela, and they have a free demo. They'll show you all about the software and how it works on your phone and on your computer, and if it's right for your business. And if it's not right, no big deal, but then at least you will know. So check it out at housecallpro.com/Angela. It's about to end the problem of collecting money. All right, on to today's show. We have a house cleaner that called in and asked this question.
Hi, how are you? So I'm starting off in the cleaning business and I want to know how should I have my clients pay me? I'm scared to do checks only because I don't want the checks to bounce. Should I have them pay before the cleaning service? Should I have them pay a deposit or should I have them pay after? Please help.
All right, this is a great question. How do you get paid? All right, well, back in the early days of my business, we got paid by check and cash. Okay, it's frustrating for two reasons. We'll start with the check. When you get to a customer's house, what happens if they did not leave you a check? And you look around, you're like, do I go ahead and clean or do I not clean? They didn't leave me a check. Maybe they forgot. Maybe they don't know I'm coming today. And it creates a lot of weird thoughts, energy, and confusion, right? Then there's always the other part about when am I going to get my check? And then you got to go chasing after the check. And then if you do get a check, what happens if the check bounces and then the bank charges you a bounce check fee? And so do you pass that check fee on to the customer? And yeah, it just gets weird, right? So I don't prefer checks at all. All right, the second part is cash. And cash is very frustrating because lots of customers think they're doing you a favor when they pay you with cash. Well, they're not doing a favor at all because what happens is you cannot track cash. It's very difficult to track as a house cleaner. And so let's say, for example, that you showed up to a house and you were supposed to get $125. And then you get to the house and then there's only $100 on the cupboard. So you go back to the customer and you say, I'm $25 short. And they say, no, I put $125 there. Oh, well, now it's their word against your word. And because it's not a check, because it's not written out, because it's not in stone, it's just cash, you could have taken the money, they could have taken the money, someone else in their house could have taken the money, or it could be an employee of yours. So you send an employee out to a job and they come back and say, I only have $100. So did the employee take the $25? Did the customer forget to give it to you? It's just hard to trace. Not only that, but they'll say, I did not have enough cash for today, so I'll get you next time. Then you show up next time and then they say, oh, I paid you last time. And because it is cash, there is no record, right? So I don't like cash for those reasons. Also, you still have to pay taxes even if you get cash. So they might think they're doing you a favor by, paying you under the table. We are above the table business. We pay our taxes. So it still has to be reported and it is hard to trace. And so you have to keep a record because if you ever go to buy a car or a house, then the bank is going to say, show us your records and we want to see your tax records. And if you don't have any tax records or if you have not earned enough money to qualify for the loans, you don't get to buy the car or the house. All right. So I love to have a trackable system. Now, we live in an era right now of technology, and this is where it gets really exciting. And we're going to go back for a second to House Call Pro. There are lots of softwares on the market, but House Call Pro is one of my favorites because it is a trackable online record of the customer's payment. And so it is on file. And what that means is the house cleaner themselves do not have the credit card. So there's a firewall where the customer submits their information and it's encrypted. And then the payment goes back to the house cleaner. And so the house cleaner can say, do I get the money? And the homeowner says, yes, I approve of the job you did. And they approve of that. It goes through the firewall and into your bank account. So it's not like the house cleaner is sitting there and they have your credit card number on a Post-it note on their desk. It's not like that at all. It's completely secure and it is protected by the encryption and the firewall. So the house cleaner still gets paid. The homeowner can be assured they're not going to be charged until the payment has been approved. Okay, I, as the homeowner, approve of this transaction. Okay, great. One-click credit card processing, it goes to the bank account. Now, the problem that we get into as house cleaners is lots of house cleaners keep changing their price. So whether they're billing by the job or by the hour, there's no set price. And so at every cleaning, the price will change. And that gets very frustrating for a customer because they can't budget for ongoing cleaning. It's also very high maintenance. So if you go to write a bill and every week you knew that it was the exact same price, you could set it up on auto pay and say, you guys do a great job. I approve of all of these auto transactions. If for any reason something happens and I disapprove, then only then can I refute the charge, right? So it just becomes automatic week after week after week after week of you cleaning. And if you do an excellent job and you provide excellent service, there will never be a problem. The challenge is where you're nickel and diming the customer for different things. So let's say that you charge by the hour. There should be a set number of hours. We will work up to 4 hours and this will be the cost. So it's never going to go beyond that. It will never cost you more than that. And so then the customer will know, oh, worst case scenario, I'm going to pay X amount of dollars for my cleaning. And they budget the X amount of dollars and it never goes above that. Now, if it goes above that, and the circumstances when it would be, is if they want something else done. Now, in order to prevent surprises and random billing, what happens is you have to pick up the phone and call the office and say, hey, listen, I would like my oven cleaned out or something else. And they say, great, we don't have time today, but we will put it on the schedule for this day. It will be this amount of money. And so the customer, again, is approving it in advance. Also, you are approving it on your end and you're adding extra time, extra cleaning equipment, extra personal protective equipment, all of that stuff in order for you to charge more, stay longer, and do the job that the customer requested. But if at every cleaning the price changes, it's kind of a bait and switch where it just becomes really high maintenance for the customer. And within a matter of a couple of months, they'll get tired of that and they will just delete you and they will go find somebody that's easier to work with. So how do you get paid as a house cleaner? First and foremost, you have to make it very, very easy to get paid. The easy is using the credit card. And with House Call Pro, you have a software that accepts the payments for you, okay? I prefer a piece of software because then it's automated, it's connected to the customer's account. You have a record of it. If they have to dispute the charge, you can say this is exactly what it was for. On this day, for this cleaning, they approved it, all those things. You have an electronic file that says, yes, they approved it. Okay, so that's the easiest way to do it. The next thing about credit cards is lots of people have credit cards. So they may not have cash. They may have to go down to the bank and get cash out of the bank if they were going to pay you with cash. Or they may have to have a proper amount of money, enough money, in the bank account if they were going to write you a check. With a credit card, credit cards have lines of interest. So they might say, come on over. They may not have the money at all, but they could still pay you for the cleaning with their credit card. They'll worry about the charges on their end. One of the reasons house cleaners are enjoying the benefits of credit card payment is because the homeowners get rewards points or frequent flyer miles or whatever in exchange for using their credit cards for services like house cleaning. So the homeowner wins, the house cleaner wins, everyone gets paid. You're not chasing around money or any of those things. So I really recommend that right now, in this era we live in of technology, that you switch all of your payments over to credit card because it's an easy way to track and then an easy way to reverse the charges if for some reason the customer is not satisfied and you want to go back and re-clean or you want to give their money back. So it's an easy way just for all of those transactions. Everybody wins. All right, I hope that helps a little bit. If it does, please pass it on to a friend. If we've earned your subscription, please subscribe. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.